Al-Hilali is the Australian cleric who recently described women who don't wear Islamic dress as being like uncovered meat. Does he speak for Islam?
Well, looking back to the verses in the Quran, that part of the verse, yes. But how again he portrayed and how again he used the word, or how again he represented it in that kind of society, that is another issue. But the substantive rulings of the Quran, yes.
Farish, I know that as far as you're concerned, the silencing of the moderate voices is a key element of this debate, but it's hard to avoid focusing on the louder voices when there are elements within the debate, such as we have just discussed, which are so offensive to non-Muslims that they tend to occupy the majority of the debate. How does one get past those contradictions?
Well, let's point out that these sentiments are also offensive to a lot of Muslims. We'll begin with that. How do we bypass these voices or prevent them from becoming too dominant? Well, here is where I'd like to see the democratic commitment or the democratic promises of the Islamist movement being actually put into practice. Because in so many cases, and Abu Bakr Bashir in Indonesia is one of them, it is political repression, the closure of society that favors the loudest voice. Indonesia, of course, has suffered a terrible economic tragedy and now is coming to terms with a new democracy that it's never had for 30 years. And I think in the process of adjustment, voices like Abu Bakr Bashir's stand out because it is consistent. Moderate voices in many Muslim countries today are simply drowned out, partly for the reasons I mentioned earlier, the dependency on the state, but also partly because they're being silenced by the shriller voices that are calling for blood and for silencing, the so-called Western agents or compradors of the West. We cannot escape, therefore, the question of power. And the politics of speech is very much, invokes the question of power, the modes of silencing and denying the right to speak of others. And I think these are issues that have to be addressed by all of us, sooner or later.
And that is a very good place to end the show. We've run out of time.